Take 3. And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the RINO podcast, the open episode. We have some fabulous topics for you to discuss today. Kaitlin, happy Sunday. Are you staying cool?
Yeah, I'm really staying cool because I have this jacket on. But yeah, no, I went out this morning really early to check a pool. Because if anybody doesn't know this, and you should know this, Jeff, that when it's extremely hot outside, you have to use because you can't use a stabilizer in Massachusetts anymore. You have to ensure that your chlorine levels in your pool are correct, or bad things happen with heat and water. So
wait, explain. What do you mean? Outdoor pool? With what's the chlorine levels? They get too high?
They'll get too low. So what happened? This is actually kind of a chemistry thing. So like you have to put a ton of chemicals in the pool in order to maintain pH and chlorine levels. So you have to make sure your alkalinity of your pool is at a kind of a perfect range.
Yeah.
And all of these other stuff. So there are certain chemicals that you put in the pool in order to do this. And there's different chlorines that you can buy, or bromine, or whatever you want to put in it. Okay. But what happens is over time, as you put chlorine in the pool, the sun and the heat will degrade the chlorine. It either comes out, or it stays in there as free chlorine or not free chlorine, combined chlorine. Sorry, I'm getting really nerdy, but like, on a really hot day, you have to ensure that your chlorinator got enough chlorine in there. So yeah.
This is true.
If it gets too low, you're gonna have algae. And
yes, and then algae's gross.
And so bacteria.
Yeah, no, the chlorine keeps the pool clean, and I have a saltwater pool, which I'm going to.
And that helps in itself. So saltwater pools are. You don't have to put as much chlorine in saltwater pools because the filtration system, if you have salt in it, keeps it relatively clean.
Yes, but you do have to watch it. And the big thing is you can't let that algae develop, or it'll, your water turns green.
Yeah, if you get algae in your pool, it's a losing battle, and you just have to maintain until you can drain and clean it.
So I want to start the episode off with something that I got to do the screen share with Kaitlin. It caught fire this week on the internet. So this, Kaitlin, and as I'm going to share screen with you. Here we go. Look, do you see it?
Yeah.
Look at this beefcake.
He's pretty cute, I'm not gonna lie.
This, as I stop sharing, was Clark Kent started trending at the January 6th hearings, with that guy who's a dish, I'll admit it. Handsome man with his glasses.
He's pretty cute. I remember seeing the pictures and I was like, wow, people are commenting more on Clark Kent at the January 6th committee meetings than they are about the actual things that are happening.
Because it's more interesting and it's actually more relevant to our society.
Well, it's also a show, right? Like culture. We've always said that culture is downstream of politics and all. They have a symbiotic relationship, and
Who do we find out who that guy was? Is he?
No, I haven't seen that. I mean, I have a ton of friends in DC, and they've been talking about it. But I think they know the name of the guy. I just haven't seen it yet.
Was he there for one of the? I guess the witnesses for I don't know. I want to say the prosecution.
So, but I don't watch these things at all because I have a life, and so
so do I.
I have a life, and so I only see tidbits on Twitter or like clips unless I actually want to watch it. And so, I saw pictures.
But the thing is, he's almost like a little too good looking. Right. So I'm kind of wondering if if it was, if he's,
he doesn't look like a Fed boy, guys. Anyway. You know that meme where it was like this like one Trump rally where like all the guys are like in this like and they're talking, they all have the same watch and they're all extremely attractive. And
Yeah, and they're all
it's
now
that
now
meme.
they're all yeah, now they cover their faces and are called the Patriot Front. Right?
Yeah, no,
Because
God, like
you're really fooling us.
right, like I literally am just like, wow, you're very attractive and you look exactly like these dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that took fire. You know, would you? Is it? It seems to be the only, I guess, objectification of somebody who is kind of happens for men more recently. Like, call it 10 years ago, if some absolutely smoking hot lady was testifying before Congress, it would have maybe gone viral. Now it's like, oh, you can't objectify women. Did you think it's flipped? Like, you can still objectify the really handsome beefcake behind the witness for men, but not for the ladies?
I mean, I guess I know too many men because, or at least the ones on Twitter that interact with me, because when Kristen Sinema was on that plane and that protester was
Yeah, fair enough.
like literally had the camera in her rack, like I was like, oh my God, like literally a front row to her boobs. Like literally every dude was like, oh.
She looks terrific now. I think she's working out. Maybe, got in shape a little bit.
Well, she had an injury, so she does Ironmans. I didn't
Yeah.
know this. Ironmans, and she
Oh,
had an injury, so I don't think she was able to work out for a while.
well, there you go.
Which you heal. Like if you have an actual injury, you gotta make sure that's okay because training for an Ironman or any type of that's a lot of stress on your body. You have to dedicate like I think I've read I'm like 2 hours a day to this.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah. If you're doing Ironmans, for sure. Before we get into our main topics, I want to show. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll save this for the end. All right. First up. Let's see here. To our fine AOC. Here, I'm going to show on screen. Kaitlin, I believe you've seen this, but for the folks at home, I'm going to hit play. So everybody at home is seeing AOC. It's so smiling. All right, she is smiling with her hands behind her back as she's being led away from the Supreme Court, in front of the Supreme Court, pretending she got arrested. And because she's so smart, while her hands are behind her back, she waves to the crowd as if she's handcuffed, and then miraculously, hey, everybody, here for the photo op, and look at the smug smile on my face.
Anybody also notice it was like 85 degrees outside and they were wearing like heavy jackets?
I did not notice that, but I think wait, let me go back. And does she have a scarf? Let's see here. Let me go. Yeah, she has a scarf on too. Or is it a mask, or it's some kind of green?
It's some type of like bandana.
Yep, she's in full pants. Yep, full pants, blazer, raises her fist. Oh, she didn't wave. She raised her fist, excuse me. Which, oh God. I have liberal family members who are like, oh, isn't she wonderful? And I worry for them because they think she is. I mean, okay, we all joke about it on Twitter, but she's profoundly stupid.
They really believe this. Like they really believe their ideology. That's all I'm going to say. Like they are true believers of their ideology. It's not unlike really Marjorie Taylor Greene, if we're going to compare.
Yeah, they're the same people.
They're the same people. It's like Paul Gosar. They're the same type of like really corrosive people to our politics. And this this instance was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Her and Ilhan Omar, like
Ilhan Omar. This is the other. I don't have the clip. Damn it! I should have queued it up. My fault. But you've seen that. Go on Twitter. Ilhan Omar just gets up on her own walks away from the line with her hands behind her back.
What
I gotta wait. Let me find it. Sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah, and like there was like this like journalistic debate on whether or not she was actually if they weren't handcuffing AOC, they weren't handcuffing Ilhan Omar. Like it was just funny. Like, you know, they went down there,
Yeah. Sorry.
they got their shot. They got their shot. The media did, and that's what was promoted, right? Like that's the issue.
Oh wait, okay.
Here.
So here it is. Let's do it on screen here. I'm going to show everybody at home. This is Ilhan Omar walking away with just her hands behind her back. No police officer even touching her. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. These people are a fucking joke. And like, oh, they're oppressed. Oh boy. And nothing happened to them. They were led over to a tree. They were asked if they were could cool down. They were taking selfies with the police officers.
I mean, like that's the thing, Jeff. Like it's just on like such another level. Like you and I have day jobs, and so like I can't relate to people doing this kind of stuff. Like I just can't relate to it, right? Like it's one of those things where it's like on another level of like, I don't know, like it's kind of privilege within their position, right? Like they are safe. Like if a real person got arrested for like rioting or protesting, they're going to be in legal trouble. AOC and Ilhan Omar get off with like probably basically nothing.
Yeah, it was a publicity stunt.
It was a publicity stunt. Yeah. I mean, like are you even really helping your own cause? Like that's the other question that I have to ask. And so clearly no.
The publicity stunt. They're unserious people.
They do this stuff instead of asking Nancy Pelosi to pass reasonable legislation on abortion. Like, so like the thing is like we talked about this on the Patreon episode. The right, we've talked about it multiple times. The right had a 50-year plan to overturn Roe. Like they had a huge plan to do this and, you know, work on the state level. And they had their network with FedSoc, and they had the infrastructure, the legal infrastructure in order to do it. And then you see the left, and this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's people behind, like they're like, you see like these lefty dark groups, I guess. I mean, like they call FedSoc like a dark group, and I'm like, they're pretty transparent for being dark. But you see these lefty dark money groups, and they're not doing the same. They're not playing the long game, which I think is one of the funniest things in the world. Like they're never going to get what they want out of this.
Newt Gingrich used to say this back in 2012, 2016. 2016. When did he run? 2012. The left lacks the capacity to do this. They're emotional people, right? There's no strategy behind it, or they're not anymore anyway.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Because they used to. I mean, Dems in the 90s. I mean, good God, after the Reagan Revolution of the 80s, they came back in the 90s with full force after losing so much, and they had a plan. And they won. They were popular. And so now it's like they still could win the popular vote for the White House, but like they're doing this shit, and they're not getting any legislative wins or judicial wins.
Yeah. We're going to see how this shakes out, you know, come November. It's still the middle of the summer. I don't know if people are truly paying attention to what's going on, but it will be interesting nonetheless. All right. Next up, Chris Doughty, who you and I both voted for at convention to be governor of the Commonwealth, is working his ass off.
Proudly voted for at convention after getting some grief about doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
He is working his ass off. This campaign looks awesome. I get literature all the time in the mail. He's all over the place campaigning. It looks great.
Yeah. I will have to get off my ass before the primary and go knock on some doors. I'm going to, because I want him to. Jeff Deal does not have a shot in hell of winning the governor's race in November. Chris does. It's still an uphill battle. anything can happen, which is why you have the election. And it really pisses me off when the people move, it gets moved from likely D to solid D and Cook report. Okay, I get that. But when, people are openly like bragging about it, people in Mass
I
Poli
haven't
anyway.
even seen Maura Healey like
I haven't seen a single
campaigning.
ad. She hasn't spent a nickel. And I guess she shouldn't.
Is that weird? Like I feel like Gonzalez spent a shit ton of money when he
Well,
was running against Mayor last time.
it's almost August, so I guess she's got a lot in the bank. But here's the thing about politics and money and spending it. It's like you have theoretically the only limited resource you have, people would say, is money. It's not. You could get more money. Is time. Okay.
Right.
There's only so many hours of television airwaves time before the election. Okay. And there's laws around that. So if Chris Doughty has the money to buy ad time on, NBC Boston News, right? They put both ads out there. You can plaster the internet. You can, there will be a decent ground game for Chris Doughty. There won't be one for Jeff Deal. It won't exist. The capacity, the capability isn't there. So I'm curious to see. She might just be sitting on it and cruising on it, which I got to tell you, it's probably a bad strategy. I mean, we're getting into August. I don't even think most Massachusetts voters know there's a governor's election coming up. I mean,
yeah, like it's kind of crazy. Like again,
it's not like, this is the thing. Don't do the Martha Coakley thing where it's like, I'm giving advice to the adversary here, but remember Martha Coakley? What am I going to do? Go outside Fenway Park in the cold and shake hands? Like, what am I going to do? Spend my war chest in August or September? Like, okay, lady. Sure. I mean, I'm sure like they got a plan. Like they're going to.
Maybe Dems in Massachusetts are kind of I don't know what I mean. Like then, it's late July and I haven't seen anything from Healy. Like that's interesting.
But look,
like you would see some. Like I'm not talking about big spending things. Okay, like I'm talking about little things. Yeah. Not seeing much of anything.
She doesn't know who she's going to face. That's fine, but you can put some warm and fuzzy ads out there. But 5 weeks. 5 weeks and we'll know who the nominee is, right? We'll know who the nominee is. It's either going to be Chris or Jeff. And if it's Jeff, you're going to see nonstop, like January 6th. He believes in which he said on record. He didn't believe it before. He went back and contradicted himself that he believes the election was stolen to get Trump's endorsement. You're going to see nonstop ads on this. Jeff has no money to counterbalance it. It won't matter. It'll be an absolute disaster. And with Chris Doughty, she'll probably run the same playbook of like Trump supporter and January 6th and stolen election, all that stuff, but it'll be more of a lie, and we can, you can counterweight it. That is where it is. So I want to point out something on the screen. So they had a debate this week for the primary, and I'm on screen showing from Howie Carr. It was on the Howie Carr show on AM radio. And full disclosure, I listened to about 60 seconds when it started, when Howie was going over the rules. And Chris Doughty had his introductory statement. And then I was like, yeah, I don't care. I kind of was like done. But on screen, it says Chris won the debate, Howie Carr. So good for Chris. I think, look, Jeff's not a good debater. Chris is getting better on the campaign trail. This is when you campaign, when you run for office, you find your stride. If you're good at it, you get practiced at it. You know your elevator speech. You're able to just knock home what you need to knock home. There's more fundraisers taking place, more people, the word's getting out there. I see one of his signs near my office in Alston, Boston. Somebody's there's a Chris Doughty sign, yard sign. Now, yard signs don't vote. I get it, but yard signs are advertising. I don't see
in Alston. Is Alston's blue, very blue.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. See, this is the thing about We're not. It's
But
not.
it doesn't matter what you said. It's about advertising. So if he's going around and he's actually campaigning on the grounds, like people are going to know who he is, even if the indies here vote blue, they'll know who he is. And, you know, again, like it's like with Maura Healey, you're not seeing like anything on the grounds, no rumbling since their Democratic state convention. Chris has been working his ass off since the MassGOP convention, just campaigning and going out and meeting people.
That's it.
I mean, guy's been driving around the entire state, going to almost every single event that he can. That's a very towny event.
I wonder. See, I wonder what's going to happen. So for Howie Carr to say that Chris won the debate,
and Howie Carr is major Trump people. Like he is the Rush Limbaugh of New England. Like,
but also he's very. Here's where I'm seeing it take place. Like this is the thing. So the way it was supposed to work is Jeff raises so Howie Carr tells his audience that, you know, Jeff Deal's great. Howie Carr's audience donates to Jeff Deal. Jeff Deal then buys advertising time on the Howie Carr program. Okay. I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, it's a bit of a gimmick from where I sit, and it's good for Howie Carr. It's not good for the general election. It's good for the primary. But for him to go against that, he looks at the OCPF fundraising filings, and Jeff has no money. So what do you do? What do you do if you're Howie Carr? What do you do if you're Howie Carr when you look at it and you go, hey, you're the guy who's supposed to feed me the cash has no cash? Well, at that point, you may go, all right, the millionaire businessman who's not Charlie Baker, probably a bit more conservative. It's Maura Healey. Howie Carr's audience is Boston, right? So it's like, what do you do? What's the best move for your piggy bank?
Right. No, I think a lot of Howie Carr's was very strategic on that level. But the thing is that what we're dealing with here is the real deal. Like, Chris Doughty, knows policy. He knows how to run a business. He's run one. It's he's a millionaire. Jeff has not. And essentially, I mean, they even said it at MassGOP. When we needed somebody to run, we put up Jeff. And it's like, how inspiring is that? Like, yes, I can't wait to vote for Jeff Deal. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, but like with Chris Doughty campaign, like you can tell that he actually believes in something. And again, he's getting out in the community and he's actually talking to people. Yeah. Like that's very important. He actually, when he interacts with people and you see video of it, he seems like a real person. And so, you know, that's something that the GOP needs. I think that Howie Carr stating that Chris Doughty won the debate was important. Because again, Howie Carr has a huge, love him or hate him. Okay. Love him or hate Howie Carr. He's got a big voice in this area.
Well, certainly among the primary electorate. Look, right. He can do a couple of things. He can put his thumb on the scale for a primary. Clearly the thumb is on the scale for this one. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks, but it almost doesn't matter. I mean, it's August. We have August. Everybody's kind of checked out. Like you've either made up your mind or you don't. The people who might, if Howie leans heavily in the direction of Chris Doughty, he can flip his audience to Doughty from Jeff, and Jeff will have a much tougher time. It's interesting to see how that'll happen because there's about 350 to 400,000 people who will vote in the Republican primary for governor. And here's the interesting part. Now that there's no primary on the Dem side, the independents who might actually go, like the Charlie Baker independents who might actually have gone to like voted for Maura Healey instead of Sonia Chang Diaz for the lesser of two evils, they'll be voting in the Republican primary, and they'll be voting for Chris Doughty. So it's huge. It's huge. Sonia Chang Diaz.
Chris Doughty needs to, and here's my piece of advice to your campaign. You need to reach out to these people, and you need to tell them that if they're an independent in Massachusetts, that they need to grab that Republican ballot and vote for him. Yeah. You need to explicitly imply that. Yeah. Or explicitly say it. I mean, like, you need to.
So I went to the Red Sox game Friday night. I took my daughter to her first Red Sox game. It was a lot of fun. And in the Red Sox set a record. Worst Red Sox loss in franchise history. So we witnessed history. It was whatever. It was fun though. But when I was walking with my daughter to Fenway in Boston, I used to live in Boston for many years. Homelessness was not an issue. There's homeless people all over the place now in Boston. In Back Bay, nice area on the way to Fenway. Tons of homeless people. It's Michelle Wu. It's the Democratic Party. It's the progressives. People in Massachusetts, especially if you're on the right or center right, you have to wake up, and whatever you thought voting for Jeff Deal, you just need to just stop it. Just stop it. He's not going to win. He'll never win. He loses elections. He's a loser. And we have to get to the point where Chris has a shot, a much better shot than Jeff does at maintaining the governorship and some semblance of normalcy. Because if Maura Healey gets in there, we're gonna turn it into California, and they're gonna lie to your face that everything is great and rosy.
I actually think it's gonna be worse than California, because she's the worst, and so she's the worst on many levels. She's used her AG office to just hit on things that don't really matter to the state, kind of like hitting at corporations over climate change and stuff. That doesn't matter to our state.
Activist bullshit. It's just activist bullshit.
Right. It's just activism and nonsense. And so on top of other things that are not positive about her, but I won't say on here. But well, that's the other thing. There's that let me say the many episodes ago we talked about the potential scandal that apparently everybody knows about, but it's not getting in the press. I'm going to figure out a way to fucking break it. I don't know how. Maybe I'll just blurt it out. No. I do not want to have to hire a lawyer.
Right. I'll put you off screen. You can hop off the Zoom and then come back on.
But anyway, and so, Maura Healey just has, she's very problematic in that. I just don't think that she understands what it takes to be in the governor's office. And this isn't because of whatever. It's that I don't think that she used her AG office in a very positive way. And so we need somebody who can actually effectively help Massachusetts, that knows how to run something essentially, like Charlie Baker did. And so Maura Healey is just not that person. So, all right. And this is really a vanity campaign, right? Let's be real. She wants higher office other than this. This is almost like Kamala Harris.
Oh, very possibly.
And I think she's more awkward than Kamala Harris, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. You'll see. You'll see. She's not a great candidate. Not a good campaigner.
She's really not.
She's an attorney. It's just.
Well, I mean, there's attorneys that are great, but there's tons in Congress that actually have the personality.
AGs,
but Maura Healey is not one.
AGs have a horrible record because they think they just don't. There's a level of the way your brain has been trained as a lawyer to not, not just kind of say things definitively. All right. Last up on the screen for our audience here, Kaitlin, is something I put out the other day. This is a highway in South Korea. It's a 2-lane highway. I'm sorry, 6-lane highway. And in the median is a solar panels underneath which is a bike path. And
wow, how efficient.
Well, it really is. This is something I think that's actually where I think government can be put to good use. And that is, we have lots of dead land, right? So the median between a highway, old landfills, any other places where the land is not usable, that is where you can put solar panels. And the government should be in the business of creating the infrastructure for that. Because, look, you can, you could put a private company in there and have them install the solar panels and just generate electricity from it. Sure, lease it out to a private company and do it that way. or that would still allow the government to do it. But there's that dead space in the median. I think it's a fabulous idea that every major highway and where there's that median space should have that. And you can put a path underneath if you want it for bike path. I don't know how realistic that is, but at least the solar panel part
looks very efficient and very effective and probably supplies a lot of power to the surrounding towns. But we live in the United States where nothing fucking makes sense. And so that is never going to happen. And what sucks about it is that we are headed, I think, for an energy crisis because energy policy in the United States is very politicized. And
yeah.
we're
I have noticed though that on the old landfills they have been putting up solar panels and things like that. So I think, but every old landfill, which is
I'm not totally pro solar. Sorry. The reason why I'm not totally pro solar is that they make them in China and you have to change them out every now and then. In order to recycle them, they use heavy metals to make them. And so you are kind of damaging the environment a little bit more.
They do make them in China. We could,
if they were American made, I'd be super cool with it. But
okay, fair enough. I think but
if no one in the United States wants to make solar panels,
that could be part of the plan too. Energy self-sufficiency. All right, we are done with this episode of the RINO podcast. Head on over to the patreon.com/RINO. Oh, I burped. RINO pod only. Sorry, Kaitlin's face just in disgust. Sorry. Only $1 a month. Patreon.com/RINO pod. We will see you next time. But we did have a great episode over there. So we always appreciate your support.
And we will not be here next week. We will be here the weekend after.
Probably.
Right?
Or the week after. Probably. Something like that. We will do something cool.
It depends on how Jeff feels coming back from vacation.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
All right. Have a great vacay, Kaitlin. A great break. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.